Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Walter is in Land Lakes, Florida.
Yes, sir.
Is it Florida?
Yes, indeed, Florida. Yeah, we just had the hurricane come through here. So
did you survive? Everything okay?
Yes, I did. Yeah, but my whole land, I live on a lake, and my whole land is flooded. I'm about 4 or 5 inches underwater here. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I got a truck. I'm good.
Yeah, you got an amphibious truck.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
I have learned so much from you. You have helped me make me be the IT person that I am, and I'm grateful to you. So thank you so much, Leo.
My pleasure. You know what? I love this stuff. And you're more of an expert than I am probably if you do this for a living. But I love talking about it, sharing what I know, getting the input from our listeners, from our chat room. I feel like we are stronger together, right? We're better by helping each other. The industry isn't going to help us. We got to do it for ourselves. So
yes,
thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it, and I appreciate your participation. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, hopefully you can help me with something that's kind of something new that I want to make sure, maybe to be my retirement job when I get older.
Oh, good.
I've got a friend of mine has a company. He does exports and imports. He's got about 10 employees that he wants to do monitoring on, laptops and desktops.
Okay.
He wants to be able to see whether if they are actually working, if they're moving their mouse between working from 8 to 5, even as far as go to see if what they're looking at, maybe without their knowledge or with their knowledge.
Totally doable.
For me,
totally
to be
doable.
able to log in and help them with problems and the like remotely. Right. If I'm down at the beach, drinking margaritas.
So let's first talk about the legality of this, which is very quick conversation. It's totally legal. And I want every employee listening to understand that. When you're on the company network, you're using company hardware, even if you're using company hardware at home, the company has the right, and courts have upheld this time and time again, without notice, to do all the things that Walter just mentioned, to completely surveil you, down to the point of looking at your screen, because it's company property. Now, in my opinion, Walter, if you're going to do this, and I understand why many employers want to do that, there is some obligation. The employer has a responsibility, for instance, to maintain a safe workplace. If you got some guy surfing porn in his cubicle, you have the obligation, not merely the right, but the obligation to stop it because it's creating a hostile work environment. And you're legally on the hook if you don't. So I understand why employers do this. I would, however, as a good employer, make sure you write and publish and get every employee to agree to a appropriate use document about how, first of all, saying up front, this is what we can and might do. You don't have to say will, might do. And these are your obligations to us as an employee so that they know, A, that there's no privacy at work, because not everybody knows this, and B, what they shouldn't do so that they know ahead of time what you're going to get mad at them for. So really, really important that you establish an appropriate use policy in the office first. And you would tell this to your friend, It's not a hard thing to write. You can find them online. Then, in fact, there's a website called privacyrights.org. They have a workplace privacy and employee monitoring. And I would read this document because it'll describe what your obligations and rights are as an employer. And if you're an employee, read it so you know what your employer can do, because there's pretty much no restriction on what they can do. The only restrictions come from a pre-digital age. For instance, this is so funny. Your employer can read your email till the cows come home. But if he should pick up an extension and listen in on your phone call, and the phone call's personal, he has to hang up.
Wow.
He can't listen to your phone call if it's personal. On the other hand, he can read your email no matter what the contents. So just understand that. And in this document, which is, from privacyrights.org, so you understand what side they're on, the very first thing they say is a majority of employers monitor their employees. Almost everything you do on your office computer can be monitored. And courts have upheld this because basically the employee is using your hardware and your internet, right? So there are a lot of different programs to do this with. I also feel like I should stand up a little bit for employees. There is there's reason to be judicious in this. You don't want to create a workplace where people are looking over their shoulder all the time, right? So that's why I think it's really important to communicate what you're doing, why you're doing it. You know, you wouldn't put a camera up in an employee's cubicle pointed right at him. That would kind of put a chilling effect on this worker, right? And that's in effect what you're doing. And the fact that you can do it secretly doesn't make it any better. You should let them know. And let them know why. It's really important. So most HR folks understand this, and if your friend is using an outsourced HR team or he has his own HR people, they'll be up on this a little bit. However, there is an infinite supply of stuff that can be used. I'm not sure. I don't know what the best programs are, but a simple Google search will find a variety of software that will do everything you want, including monitor their screens. You could set up, the IT department could set up a wall of screens. It's everybody employee's screen, and they could have somebody sitting there looking and making sure they're not surfing porn. And, you could certainly do it. It's not hard to do. I would just be careful. I would just encourage you to be open and upfront about it. By the way, I don't do that to my employees, as tempting as that would be. I just expect them to be responsible employees. But you know what? If they're surfing porn and one of my employees sees it and goes and gets a lawyer and sues me, I'm liable. I'm liable. That's why this stuff exists. You're responsible to protect your employees against other employees. We did have an employee who was using remote access software, because we do extensively use remote access software. So some employees, editors and so forth, can go home and finish their work at home. And he was using that to spy on other employees. As soon as we learned about it, we terminated him, of course. But understand, there's reasons your employer wants to do this, and it's not merely because you guys are lazy. It's because there are some legal responsibilities. There's lots of ways to do this. Just do it with a light touch, as light a touch as you can. But you know what? We make people punch time cards, right?
Yes, crew. That's right.
We say, I don't trust you to come in at 9 o'clock and go home at 5. Punch a time card.
Yep.
I want to know what your hours are. So, this is just part of the workplace. And I think if you're listening and you're an employee, you should learn about your rights and also learn about what you don't have a right to do. And it may surprise you. It may surprise you. Yeah.